amazing to be with everyone who watches this replay with Rimini and yours truly, Laura J. Rimini is one of the contributing artists in album 22, a project that fully helped in redefining my own self-image, and Rimini has some incredible assets in terms of her skill set in addition to being a musician that I am excited to share with you. So Rimini, how are you today?
Hi, I'm super excited to be here. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, an absolute pleasure. And this actually took a couple times for us to actually be aligned vibrationally to make this happen. And I know with the energy that you bring and put out in this world, you mentioned that there can be technological issues at times. So tell us about, this is an opportunity really, Rimini, for people to understand the artists behind the music. And you've got a song, Future Human, on our album. And so I'd love to know about the woman that you were when you said yes to getting involved in this project, and just kind of give a little background about who you are and what kind of brought you into this moment now.
Sure. Yeah, so I connected with Jared, and we kind of just ended up having this really bizarre but very aligned first meeting, and it was like, oh, hello, nice to see you for life.
Right?
We were both just like, I don't know why we're talking, but we're talking for a reason. And it was just, yeah, we suddenly realized that our visions were very similar in terms of raising the vibration of music and the impact that it has on its listeners. And like the project, my album project that I was working on before I had my son, I was tuning it to 432 instead of the standard 440, so that I could, so that it would have a more healing impact on people. The song itself, Future Human, is about, the fact that I come from a multicultural background. But I grew up, mostly everyone just always thinking I was just straight up white. And at some point in my kind of, I guess, my growth, I kind of had to identify with all of me, because it didn't feel like it was true. Like, it felt like my heart was kind of missing a recognition of all of the rainbow that I am. And so my grandfather was from Trinidad and Tobago. And so, as I kind of journeyed into that and what that meant for me, like, it was lovely going to his house, because when we got to, he used to make us oxtail soup and all sorts of, like, rum toast, age 5 and stuff. And just, he was always had a story to tell, and it was lovely expressing him, being in his expression of himself and his culture, and then starting to draw that in, identify more with that as part of who I am, and represent that through the music I make. And then it was also like a twist on the fact that, kind of this, basically just that I'm neither the white or the black, so where do you put me? Like, it's like I'm kind of this individual that goes beyond those dividing lines, because I don't stand equally on either side. And there's lots of people like that that either don't get identified enough, or for their mixture, basically. And so it was really a representation of coming home to all of me, and also acknowledging the fact that there's, we are all human. and the fact that you can't divide me into certain brackets it's like the epitome of just being a human. I'm everything, and I'm nothing at the same time. And it felt important just to voice that, and to kind of address some of the the toxicity that's been present in how society divides itself up and segregates some things. So basically I've always just found, like, music, since I was young, the intention has been to bring people together and heal and empower. So whether that's the frequency or the message behind it, that's kind of where I come from. It's like, how can we bring more joy to the world right now. Yeah, and I choose to do that through music and healing. So
amazing, and so significant that literally right before I did a little live while straightening my hair for the first time in ages.
way.
Thank you. But I came across a video where Condoleezza Rosa was actually talking about critical race studies or critical race theory, and talking about how she had grown up in segregation, and her parents actually said, whatever may be true, you can do anything. And they really put that positive programming into her to say, regardless of your skin tone, you can do anything. And so she shared her story. Kanye West actually was featured saying how his child had come home and had been told that mommy's white and daddy's black, so you're black. And then Morgan Freeman actually was also featured before I flicked off and did my own thing. But he was actually saying, I don't want to be called a black man, and I don't want you to be called a white man to the interviewer. He's like, you are your name, and I am Morgan Freeman, and we need to just stop saying that we're black or white, because as I always say, it's like human has an extra E for the energy that we are willing to put into the hues of all humanity, which is exactly what I'm hearing. And that was literally the video that came into my awareness right before our interview, of course, right?
Perfect.
Yeah. So in the song, you talk about the swirls and talking about coming into your rainbow essence of sorts. And, you know, we're at a time where we've got crystalline DNA being activated, which actually you took me on a recoding process. As I mentioned, we were meant to do an interview about a month ago, and that day we just reconnected. It had been several months and a lot has changed for us both energetically and situationally. And so that didn't happen, but the reconnection of heart was what was required and where we needed to start in what we're building together. And album 22.2 is going to be a huge part of this as well. And we're going to talk about 360 artist wellness as well, which is your project that you are working on and launching November 1st. So I look forward to really digging into that. And if you want to talk about that project, I was going to just finish the thought first about the recode experience that after the first meeting, then we reconnected and I'd shared some shifts that I was making, and you're like, oh, let's do a recode around that. And so we got together, and it ended up being a two-part process because I had an energy that had come with me to keep me out of my power. And so in ending that contract and being released from it, my guides came forward and said, gently. And so you were kind enough to be willing to come together 3 days later and do the remainder of the activation process, where I remember you actually were working with the chakra above and below my actual physical energy centers. So what is that process? What is recode? What did you do with me? What do you do with people around this? You did recode for album 22.
I won.
Woo! Yes. All right. Tell us about it, sister.
Yeah, so each recode is different because I work with guides and spirits, so I get shown where we need to go. There was a process that I learned that's kind of more structured, and it just allowed me to I guess give me a framework to use what I was already doing in terms of connecting in and being really aware and being able to scan people and get all sorts of information through. But essentially it's kind of another way of bringing more joy. So it's like, where do we meet the physical with the unseen? And what is the unseen influencing in the physical that we can release so that the person can experience more fulfillment and more satisfaction with joy and more creativity. Like, you know, we all have, not all of us, but often people have visions and that they want to create and they want to step into, whether that be small, like, I don't know, being tidier, being more organized, or whether that be like, I want to revolutionize the music industry, like whatever that is, like, you know what I mean? Like, we have our own perceptions of what we'd like to create in this life. And sometimes we come into this world with junk that isn't really of us. So it's not that we need to change anything, because it's not us that we're changing. It's just, we're just releasing what's been attached or what we've come into. It's like you turning up to a friend's house and you're going to have a really great cup of tea and a bit of cake. But first you brought all this lorry load of stuff that you don't actually need to bring with you. So just to make it easier, we're going to, like, you know, send the lorry driver packing so you can easily walk in and enjoy the cup of tea and the piece of cake and connect to your friends. It's just like, you don't need all that stuff with you that you brought that, you know, at some point might have been useful, but actually right now it's just extra baggage that you're carrying around. It's kind of slowing you down and weighing you down. And that can be in the form of, you know, belief systems, frozen emotions, just like, yeah, parts of us that have broken off during aspects that, or parts of trauma that have happened in this lifetime, but also previous lifetimes. It can be generational beliefs, it can be generational trauma, it can be all sorts of stuff. Because we're not just the physical, are we? We're constantly, you know, in flow with the unseen. And so, yeah, recodes are an extremely powerful and really gentle way of just almost like giving you a shower, just like whoosh, getting away from that, and then we actually we create an energetic link to where you're going. So what is it that you want to create? Let's bring that alive. That's the very first thing we do, and that's what we set as our intention, clear intention, and as our kind of goal. We're going over here, so what we're going to create in the world. Let's do this. Universe, show us what we need to clear or release so that we can just step into that reality. Yeah, so it's I find it's really fun for me because I just like working in that realm. It's really just, I don't know, it feels very home-like. And it's also really, really, really lovely for me to hear when people say, this just happened. And I'm like, yes, woohoo.
Right. And there's a experience of recalibrating vibrationally after you do the energy work as well. So talk about the few steps back before taking the giant leap forward for anybody that may not be familiar with energy work, that is open or interested, that just hasn't ventured down that path yet, or may feel a bit pensive or reticent to open up to something they don't understand, like the unseen.
Yeah, well, it's like I said at the beginning, it's everyone responds differently, and every recode is different. So like how your recode, I was told really clearly to go gently. Sometimes this, you know, the boulder of stuff that we're working on to release, it can take a number of sessions, and so it will just be an incremental shift, or the soul is just ready to let it go. So I work with however fast and slow people need or can or want to. Yeah, I often describe the feeling after a recode as being like a bit mushy. But your brain is kind of, the neuroprogramming is like, yeah, just kind of rewiring itself and releasing to create more space for the beliefs we've installed or the new energy that we've installed, or refocusing itself onto the actual goal that we've set as this is our reality we're working towards now. So there's like, yeah, our brain, our wiring has to kind of catch up. So things will be moving, and they can be moving for like 3 days afterwards. So it's good just to go gentle with yourself. I personally have had the experience of both, where you felt like, oh my goodness, I need to go to sleep now for 2 days. And also, you know, felt mushy for half an hour, but then just felt the incredible amount of freedom and like emotion that had been eating me up was suddenly gone. And I was just like, oh my goodness, this is like magic. So yeah, it's an energetic process, so you will feel it, and it's really deep. So there's going to be but I can also, we work with superconscious so that's not processed through the main personality, which just means that you don't get flooded with all of the change. Otherwise it can be quite intense. So we ask for it to be processed outside of the main personality, so that you're not, like, what the heck is going on? I'm processing my great grandmother's, I don't know, father's death or something. Like stuff that just doesn't make sense to you at this moment, but it's in your field that you just don't know is there. So it doesn't serve you to be there crying about something that you were never actually, you weren't there for. So it's, so like I say, it's really gentle, and it's really deep. And I love it. It's just like literally having a magic wand and going, joy.
I love it, and definitely went through the mushy and needing to just retract and kind of move back into the basement after kind of trying to be upstairs, and then it was like I'm so irritable, and it's just like all of the noise of everything in the environment. It's just like, no, I was just needing to retract and just get in with my own energy after that experience. So very grateful that you supported me in really stepping into my power in a bigger way and clearing out some of that clutter that I don't need in order for me to be able to do what I'm here for. And I want to touch on artist or 360 artist wellness now and hear about that process, because you are actually launching for a small group to go through an experience of really transforming the self-image from the old who they were and the energetic signature that came with that into the one in the golden circle that you're moving towards.
Yeah, so 360 Artist Wellness, we've just launched the website. Yay!
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
It's like my birth child. It's like I've been wanting to do this for ages, like I don't know how many years, and it's like finally it's like coming to fruition. And it's we've worked with some individual artists, and now we're doing our first group course, which I'm just so excited about. It's it's a 6-week transformation course, and it's about wellness from every angle. So we'll look at your life, take a snapshot of like, where are you flourishing, where are you like lacking or feeling like you're struggling or walking through treacle or whatever. And the idea is to bring balance so that there's each, your actual physical well-being is strong and centered, and you're going into the fall with a strong immune system, so that you can really maintain your energy and vibrancy and keep that vision alive. Because even though winter's kind of hibernation time, it's also a time when we can get a lot of work done, especially as writers, because you kind of go inward. So we want to have that strength and clarity of mind to be able to process the changes happening in our internal world, also our external world, without kind of just going into like, it's winter, I'm cold, I'm tired, I'm sick, blah, 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 blah. But equally, there is the external like process of gaining momentum and building power with our musical visions. Sometimes people will come to us and they're like completely feeling stuck. Like this was me when I first started music. I was too, I don't know, lacking in confidence. Just absolutely terrified of actually admitting that I wanted to do singing. It's like this real journey to even be like, hey, I'm Rimini and I sing. Like it was just so many things telling me I couldn't do it. So we'll tap into that. Like what's blocking the confidence? What's blocking you from being able to, like, you see the step, what is in between you and taking that step? And also we'll recode and do a bunch of energy realignment coaching to get you set up to win in that respect. But also my business partner is a nutritionist and yogi and essential oil therapist, and she is going to be doing some of the balancing in terms of what foods, like what's your goal. Okay, my goal is to let's say get fit and be really in their power around getting up on stage and having this energy to do really intense shows or whatever. So she'll be able to say, right, this is what you need to be eating. These are the kind of oils you can use to activate that. This is the breath work you can do to really support the physical, to get you aligned and feeling charged. And also these are the exercises you can do to kind of, it's not really about image, it's more about well-being. So what's your intention for well-being, your physical side? It's not about just getting skinny or looking pretty. It's more like, what can you eat to nourish your energy levels, to nourish your mental health, to get your body and your hormones balanced? So if you want to have children when you're, you know, older or something, how, you know, what are you doing to make sure that your body's going to be able to do that? So it's like goals across all areas of life, not just like who they are as a musician or as an artist. It's like, who are you as a person who is also a musician and an artist? And how can we bring more of a 360 perspective to your well-being versus the kind of industry, like, how many followers do you have? What's your image like? What's your sound like? Which is kind of almost two-dimensional. We want to really look at the artist as a whole person who is going to have a long, happy, joyful career and life. So how can we nourish them on all fronts?
I love it. And then there's the part of me that is like, when you say a person, that is not a man or a woman. And it's just the vernacular. And it's just like, there's this part of me that is just words. I'm so nitpicky with them that it's just like, maybe that's something that I just need to release and then also bring into awareness and shift. Because if we're not aware, we can't beware. And I think that this actually is significant from the perspective of taking our power back as people, as men and women, to understand these distinctions and definitions. Pardon?
Inner stand.
Yes.
Understand is to stand under.
Yes.
So yeah, like, it's just because we're both going through the transition of understanding what it means to see and understanding what it means to step into our sovereignty. And yet we can probably do a recode around this, just releasing the 3D matrix, and every word that we've been programmed to believe we're a corporation without being told that we're a corporation. So yeah, most certainly. Yeah, the corpse. Who are we signing on behalf of? The corpse that we give our lifeblood to in order for it to have life, because we literally give it our life. And that's why we're liable when we sign on behalf of that which we're assuming we're half of. Who's your better half? But also the corpse. Like when you die, you're a corpse.
Yeah, exactly.
That's mental. I haven't even thought about that. God, this is so weird.
All these paradigms. And then when you actually have that paradigm shift, that cognitive dissonance phase of no longer being where you were and not yet being where you're going, that's the liminal phase of change. But then the cognitive dissonance of, who am I if I'm not that and I'm not yet that? So how do you really support yourself? Because you're somebody that actually, you're in England now, you started in England, you went to America and pursued your dreams and really actually left your homeland in order to go on the adventure like every hero must. And then you've come back with that experience in your vibrational field. So you've done the work to come back to be able to contribute the wisdom you gained from the journey. So how do you really support yourself? And that's for anybody that's maybe going through change, as we are collectively. What is a strategy or technique that you've really used to step into your power, Rimini?
Let me just ask what would be most beneficial to share right now.
Yeah, fair.
Okay. So, because I was like, there's a lot. So I just want to, it's like, where do I start? We could be here for a while. Right? What is pertinent to share that would land and resonate the most and have the greatest impact? I would say working with intentionality. So aligning your energy field and then continually celebrating that. So I notice when if I'm being miserable and feeling like a victim and stuck and like, oh my God, there's a massive mountain to climb and I've got no shoes. Like, do you know what I mean? Like everything's too much. It's like, well, A, where's my focus? And B, where's my joy? Because joy is like your speed dial to your future. So when you're feeling in space of gratitude, you automatically are accessing joy. So when you connect to the intention of what it is that you want to create, see, I find it powerful to do it in the evening right before going to bed, because I activate it in my field, and then as I sleep, my amygdala, pretty sure it's called that, starts to draw that energy in and look for ways to create that the following day. So I wake up, and then the first thing I do is I put my hands on my heart and get a space of coherence, and then I connect to my vision again, and then I'm in a state of bliss and joy. So my head and my heart coherence are together, and then I put my feet on the ground and I give gratitude for another day with Mother Gaia. But connecting to the energy of the vision as if it's now, and then when you're about to take an action, connect to that same energy. So you're actually acting from the space of having already created it. And you're constantly referencing, like we do in the recode, where you're going. So you're building the tension between the here, now moment and the reality that you're drawing in. And when you're in your intentional energy, it's just blissful, because you don't worry about, you're no longer laden with the density of the now. There's two folds to that, because the here and the now provides you're really being present. The here and the now is totally light, right? But also it's, you kind of observe, if you're in the now moment observing what is versus where you want to go, what you're calling in, then the now moment can be really dense, right? So yeah, I find that is, and that really giddy feeling that you get when you're a kid, like, oh my God, I'm so excited. Like that energy, because that's just like you can't help but you're activating other people. As soon as I did that, you're grinning. It's like you're bringing more of that energy to you. And I remember, is it Michael Beckwith who said, if you don't stop being grateful, I'm going to give you something to be grateful about.
Right? Yeah, that's amazing. I didn't realize that it was just for kids. That I get like that all the time. It's just like, I think some of us are just naturally attuned to that, of just joy and the desire to birth that in the world in a bigger way.
Yeah, definitely. But yeah, it's the journaling is great, and just being connected to that vision, just like kind of, what action can I take today, just to take one step towards that, or like, then once you're acting from that space of joy and celebrating the vision, it's no longer like, you're no longer in scarcity or lack or guilt around it, like, oh, I should be doing this, or I should be that, oh my God, I'm so far away from my vision, which means you've just created a massive space between you and there. And you can literally collapse that down and jump timelines when you step into just gratitude for the little things that are happening, and then suddenly you'll notice they're not so little anymore, and suddenly you look around, you're like, how did that just happened? And yeah, I had one of those moments this last couple of weeks. I was just like, wow, like my site getting finished, and it felt like it went on for an eternity, and suddenly it's like, my site is here, it's done, and uploading all of my testimonials was like, wow, this is so fun. Little did I know I was actually creating my vision and it's here, like, I'm doing it. So yeah, amazing.
So that is a great way for us to hear about what's coming with, so you've got your process that you're taking people through in artist, or in 360 artist wellness, that's launching November 1st. So how would somebody connect with you in order to get more information about that, Rimini?
Yeah, sure. Well, I can give you, I can send you a link, so we can put it in the below. But also artist 360artistwellness.com. You'll see on the homepage, if you scroll down, there's a banner about the 6-week course that's starting on November the 1st. And you can just click on there and read about it and jump on board if your heart feels called to do so. Or you can find me. I don't even know what my Instagram is anymore. It's been so long.
Yeah.
I think it's at Rimini Rudette. I can check that, but yeah.
We'll link it down below. So in the replay, which we'll post to my YouTube channel, you'll be able to gain access to all of the ways that you can reach out to Rimini. And Rimini will be part of album 22.2, which is going to be about coming back into wholeness within ourselves. It's about healing the child within so that we can call back more of those fragments, because as we were talking about, the recode really helps with clearing out that which isn't ours or that isn't serving us energetically, and then the inner child reclamation process that we're going to be really going through in this process, and Rimini will be contributing in the ways that are most aligned and can offer the most value. And we're grateful to have you part of this experience, which launches tomorrow, as we really just take the artists on that journey to wholeness within ourselves, so that it's not just about clearing the field, but it's also about recollecting. So, how is there a way that you have found really works for you to go find the little girl that was 3 years old and felt unloved, for instance, and pull her out of that moment? Or do you have a process specifically that you use for calling yourself back into wholeness?
Well, I do that with the recodes. So I'll speak to all parts of the treatment team, which is basically all aspects of you, all fragments of you, all parts of you that have broken off because they felt unloved or uncared for, age 3 or whatever. And then just explain to them that the impact they're now having on you, let's say you, on Laura, is that actually you're keeping, because when you enter a scenario that represents or looks similar to what that child or aspect of you initially broke away from, that part steps back up again and says, yo, no, we're going to leave now, we're going to throw a tantrum, and then we're going to go. So when you're feeling triggered, that's usually a sign that there's an aspect of you that's been brought forward. So getting really still and integrating with breath can really help. But equally, recodes really help to do that. You kind of use a combination of the two. And then also just envisioning. So like, if you're aware that there's a part of you, if you can get really, really still and say, okay, what part of me is this? And what does it need from me right now? And then just envision it with your eyes closed. Imagine yourself, the version of you that it is, whatever age, and imagine that you're the parent now. So we give that aspect of you what it needs, and then just draw it in and put it back in your heart and say, you're home now, I have you. And just ask for it to be reintegrated. So yeah.
I love it. I am so excited for people to be able to get to experience more of you with album 22.2, and definitely check out Future Human on album22.com as well. And Rimini, do you have any upcoming projects that you want to share musically, or is the focus more on taking artists on that journey into wholeness, so that we as the artists are able to actually put out the music that's going to change the world and bring more joy?
Yeah, it was a combination. So for me to be in 360 wellness, I have to embrace my artist, otherwise it's I'm out of balance. So after having my son, I've recently just started writing again and getting into the vision of using the music in the capacity that I've always seen as possible. So that's, you know, conscious lyrics and conscious intention with the music, conscious use of frequency, embedded healing frequencies, all of this sort of stuff. So it's and yeah, expressing that newfound authenticity and voice that I was previously too kind of scared to share. So that's yeah, I'm coming together to create something new, and I'm really excited about it. So yeah,
I love it. And just as the final piece for this interview today, I would love to know what participating in album 22 meant to and for you.
It was just beautiful. It was like a mixture of, I don't know, it came at a time as well when there was like, it was really bleak. It was, the lockdown in London was really, really harsh, and I felt very isolated. And so to have that connection with everybody that had like shared a vision and wanting to express and bring more joy to the world was really nourishing and really comforting. And it felt like forward momentum when everything else was kind of stuck, you know, like locked down. It was like, okay, and so we rise, you know. It was, yeah. Yeah.
So we rise. I love it. And so thank you for taking the time today to share yourself with us, and would love to know what this interview has meant to and for you who watches the replay. If you have questions, or if things have been shared that you want more information about, definitely reach out to Rimini, and we very much look forward to hopefully seeing you on album 22.2 and that journey, which the details are always posted to meetup.com under Peaceful Inner Warriors United, and so check that out. And definitely, if you're looking for some support on a deeper level, artist or 360 artist wellness is definitely a phenomenal opportunity for you to be able to be part of too. So have a great day, guys. Thanks, Rimini.
Lots of love. Bye.